for the average viewer,
Yeah.
where I mean, there's so much information now. I mean, you listed like 8 or 9 of these options. Where does the normal Joe Schmo go to research this and find reputable providers, and also then get the proper coaching on like which one is best for them, if any of these are good for them? Because I think there's, you know, I'm as capitalist as they come, right? Like, I will always support capitalism, right? But with something like this, especially emerging things where there's a huge opportunity to make billions of dollars if you're the first mover to really like corner the space, there's a little risk there. And we kind of saw this a little bit like with testosterone clinics, right? Like testosterone became this new thing where like everyone's getting prescribed, and now you got a men's clinic on every block, and any guy can go in there and get testosterone. Like they're not going to tell literally anyone no, most likely. And it's a guy who's probably not that qualified, but he has like the right acronym after his name, and here's your script, on your way, next guy. And it's like a 15-minute consult, and you already have testosterone of 800. So like this is a little different, but it's the same thing. While I want this to become, kind of capitalized and integrated into society as normal people, we got to be a little bit careful, because to your point, you can roll into some clinic that, it looks nice, it's got a nice, vibe and, the credentials, but it's a cookie cutter, kind of expansion on someone that's just trying to make a bunch of money. So I think, for Doc, where can the normal person navigate this to get educated, and potentially find treatment providers in other countries, and then, kind of navigate it the right way, and, hopefully get to, that end state we're all trying to get to?
That is $1 million question, because unfortunately there is not a one place to go for that kind of thing right now. But I would say, so because this is becoming more publicized, it's not mainstream yet, but it's getting there. There are, like I said, bad actors, charlatans out there, people just trying to make money and actually doing a lot of harm in the process. And I caution people to be very careful when they're doing research around centers, especially, or facilitators, shamans, practitioners, whatever you want to call them, because there is no credentialing around this either. There's no, like, anyone can call themselves a facilitator or a shaman. And, it's a very strange space. So I would say, if you're just trying to find information about psychedelics and like, what do they do and what are they, all of that, I would say that maps.org is a good place to go to start to see some information around, like, they have their clinical trials. They're working on specific psychedelics, but they do have a lot of information and a bunch of resources listed on their website. So if you're trying to find legit information about just the substances and what they do and how they're being used, all that, maps.org is great for that. I'm on the Psychedelic Medicine Association board, and that's an organization that exists to try to bridge the gap between the patient and the clinician, because a lot of clinicians are getting asked about these things and they don't know how to advise their patients. In fact, they gave a presentation to the NFL clinicians not that long ago for the exact same reason. The players are asking about psychedelics and the clinicians don't really have an answer for them, but they want, clinicians across the board, whether it's professional athletes or the average human, they're getting asked these questions and they don't know how best to advise. And they know that their patients are doing them anyway. And so they want to provide more information. So if you're a clinician, but also if you're a patient, you could benefit from this too. The Psychedelic Medicine Association also on their website has a lot of resources. I think some of their resources may be member only. And so you may have to become a member to access some of that, which I think it's like $100 a year or something like that. But that's another area to explore as far as, website-based research goes. And then for the veterans out there, I would say to look up heroicheartsproject.org and Vet Solutions. They have great resources on their websites, and they're the ones who work with the veteran community. Again, Heroic Hearts Project is all veterans, and Vets is SOF focused, but they have vetted the center. So when you're talking about where do I go to do a retreat, that is also a very gray area. Talk to those organizations. And if you're not a veteran, but you're curious around where to go to do these things safely, I would still encourage you to contact them because they're wonderful people. They will probably help you out. In fact, they probably have a bunch of resources listed, maybe not all their centers, but could probably provide that to you if you were curious and just wanted to go somewhere safe, because they have worked with, they put themselves through these experiences and go on these retreats before they ever send any of their grant recipients to them. And so they make sure that it is going to be safe and that it is a vetted center. So they have a list of people that they work with, of organizations that they work with. That's a place that I would highly recommend, both of those two organizations. Outside of that, you can certainly do your own research and find centers that offer ayahuasca ceremonies, for example, in Costa Rica, or, but a lot of them, I will say, are what we, often call in the space like ayahuasca tourism or, psychedelic tourism, where they're going to take a shit ton of your money, and it might be a really nice resort or maybe not, but the whole goal isn't really to help you heal. It's really about taking your money, giving you a nice week vacation, and sending you on your way. So keep that in mind. A lot of the centers that pop up that are like super popular, you might have a great experience there, but it's not necessarily set up for like deep dives of real healing work. Some of these places, especially if you see, like as an example, some of them will have like 2 shamans in a giant maloca full of maybe like 30 or 40 people in one facility. And to me, after doing this with like 8-ish people, 8 to 10, ayahuasca, psilocybin, whatever it is, in a very small group type ceremony, I would not feel comfortable having a deep dive experience in that setting. It would be, to me, that sounds traumatic. I would not, that does not sound like fun at all or helpful. So, keep that in mind as you go through. And then also when you're vetting centers, what is their medical process like? What is their medical intake like? If they're not asking you medical questions or they don't have a medical staff nearby, run for the hills, like super important stuff. So, and then, I'm always happy to help in whatever way I can. I don't always have the most bandwidth these days, but, if it's easy questions I can answer via email or Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, where it's just sort of like setting people up with resources or info, I'm happy to help however I can, because I know it's a gray area and it is really challenging to get good information these days. So I want people to be safe and, get the most out of it.